All right, let's get started, guys. How you guys doing today? You guys doing good?
Yeah.
All right, man. You guys got to compensate for a few people running late, so you guys got to be loud for me. Is that good? You guys do that?
Yeah.
All right. How many of you guys are ready to make money now that we got the new administration coming in? Yeah. I'm in Texas now. I was in California the other day, and I said that. They're like, "Hey, be careful what you say." And I was like, "Hey, this is my room, man. I got, there's a door." I know I'm in Texas though, and I lived in Texas forever, man. I love Texas. I had a house over in Largo Vista for 11 years. I had a house over on Lake Medina for a long time, since the 90s. And then when we sold the house over in Medina, we bought a house over in Largo Vista, and I was hoping to put my kids in high school over here, but my wife didn't really. She won the battle, so we haven't moved, right? So in 2016, we sold our house in Largo Vista. You guys know what Texas floods are like. Our cove on the backside of Lake Travis was dry, so we had a lakefront house with my steps hanging about 100 feet from the water, And then one weekend, we get one of those great storms that washes out all of San Marcos, and then the lake raises 30 feet in one day. You guys know those storms, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so then I sold the house. I was like, okay, list the house, man. We got water in the cove. We had about 100 yards worth of water, and I was like, okay, cool, man. We got 100 yards of water. My steps are buried. Sell the house. Let's go. So I officially have been out of Texas since 2016, but Texas holds a really strong place in my heart because it was the first place when I was in multi-level marketing back in the 90s that I struggled, man, in multi-level marketing forever. But I had an office right here in Bee Cave that I had here in Austin, and I had one in the Camino Real building off of 281 in San Antonio. And both those offices, I made more money leasing desk space out of those offices than I did doing multi-level marketing. And so I landed up getting the weight of not being able to make money off my back through leasing desk space. And then when we finally got that, I started crushing it in multi-level marketing. And then in 97, the FTC shut us down. That's when I moved back to New Mexico. I went and finished my degree because I was wrestling for the University of New Mexico before I got started back in the early 90s. And I started a little concrete company. And I still own that little concrete company today. We started in 1998. Welcome. Come on and join us, guys. And so when we did that, I got into real estate almost immediately right after. And the reason I got into real estate, guys, was not to build homes, not to make a bunch of money. What I thought about real estate was I could protect my money. And so I was making money pouring concrete. And what I wanted to do was just put it into an asset that would just sustain. And I had a tangible investment that I knew where my money was parked. So that way, if anything ever fell apart again, I had something that I could hang my hat on that my money was invested in. That's how I got involved in real estate, guys. So even when I started building our personal brand and we were raising capital for large multifamily, I didn't even really consider myself a real estate person because we owned a bunch of restaurants. We owned the Agave bar off the Riverwalk in San Antonio. You guys familiar with the Agave bar? Okay, that was mine until just a few years ago. I sold that out in 2018. But we were in business with. We were the largest Subway franchisee. We owned a bunch of companies, right? But I owned a shit ton of real estate. And I just acquired it over this course of time. And we built real estate. And we made a lot of money doing it. So the whole thing about coming in and teaching you guys how to do real estate was more put after our desire to come and raise capital so we could scale our real estate portfolio back in 2016. It took me 2 years to really figure out how to raise capital. So I went from 2016 to 2018 just educating myself on how to raise capital. And so 2 hard, strong years of trying to figure it out. I was building real estate since 1998. And the thing that's been the most profitable in real estate for us has been single family homes, buying land and just building houses. And it proved to be the most advantageous aspect of our real estate portfolio that was cash producing since the 1990s and still today. So we buy a piece of dirt, we sell a house, and we make about $250,000 to $280,000 on every house we sell. Very lucrative. Back when we were doing it in the 90s, we make between $80,000 and $100,000 doing that. Now, over the years, it slowly graduated. Before the pandemic, we would buy a piece of land, we'd build a house, and we were making somewhere right between $150,000 to $200,000 per house. Then when the pandemic went up, we started making almost $300,000, just shy of that. Okay, so that's been our strongest business model in regards to active income. Okay, now one of the biggest things. How many of you guys came in here? How many of you guys are in real estate right now? Raise your hand. Okay, good. A good percentage of you guys. How many of you guys are like actively in real estate as an owner, where you own an investment property outside of your single family home? Good. It's like half of you guys. That's awesome. Okay. My team's doing a good job marketing. Now, how many of you guys have ever done a fix and flip? Just so I can see kind of who's in the audience. Okay. A good amount of you guys. How many of you guys have ever done new construction? Raise your hand. Good. About the same amount of people. Okay. Good. All right. How many of you guys are in commercial real estate? Very few of you guys. Okay. Okay. Now, residential. Raise your hand. How many of you guys are in residential and commercial? Raise your hand. Okay. 3 of you guys. Okay. Cool. That gives me a good indication. So all of you guys in residential real estate, you guys are paying too much in taxes. Okay. I'll tell you that right now. So all of you guys that are priding yourself on residential real estate, I'm proud of you guys because you guys are doing it, right? But what I want to teach you guys is not just how to go out and make money in real estate, but how to keep it. And one of the biggest issues right now that we're facing is that we have all these smaller acquisitions that are taking place, and our revenue that we generate is way higher than what we have coming in on large projects right now because we haven't been able to get them out of the dirt because of the way financing and the way banking has been for the last few years. So one of the big meetings, like even in my office this morning, was which projects are we going to hyper focus on to get them done before the end of 2025? And what projects are we going to buy? Because when you're in residential real estate, the biggest problem is you can go out there and you can make $1 million in a year. But if you have to write the IRS a check for $400,000, how many of you guys feel really warm and fuzzy doing that? Anybody?
No.
No? When I started building houses back in the 90s, guys, I remember when I would focus like in September, October, and I would look for land. And I would look for land for next year. And I would say, okay, I'm going to get my permits ready. I'm going to get my land ready so that when it says go time at the beginning of the year, I'm going to build the first 4 months of the year. And all those 4 months of the year, I'm going to hyper focus on just getting X amount of homes done, whatever I had going in quantity that year, so I could pay my taxes before my taxes were even due, so that money could go to the IRS. And then the rest of the year is mine. How many of you guys want to work for 4 friggin' months for the IRS?
No.
Anybody? How many people think that's a pretty shitty business model? Raise your hands.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a shitty business model. I learned that real fast. And so the thing about commercial real estate, guys, I'm going to share with you guys today, and I'm going to show you guys the business model that we actually focus on, is small multifamily right now is where you guys need to put your focus on. Housing in Austin, there's not enough of it, and there's not going to be enough of it. With the growth that Austin has seen in the projections, even just with like Elon Musk coming to Austin and all the growth that's going to come because of that, there's going to be such a deficit of homes. Homes are either going to get extremely expensive, which is already happening, it has already happened, and they're going to continue to get expensive, and there's a deficit of homes. So why not be one that's taking advantage of what you got, what's most needed right now? There's 2 asset classes, guys, 2 asset classes. Right now, the fulfillment of residential homes and apartments is in such a deficit. That's one of the #1 largest sought after asset classes that our federal government and local government is most desiring to focus on. And then data centers, okay? But the problem is there's 5 major companies in the United States that are building data centers. Most people don't know the first thing about data centers, but you get into land. And so there's 2 things with data centers. One is building the warehouses for data centers, or buying warehouses to convert and utilize for data centers, and also the power grids. Because with data center comes power grids. You cannot run those data centers without having more power. And there's a deficiency of power that's available to run these data centers. So they need the land, like farm and agricultural land, to be able to build these power grids, to be able to go in and have the energy that's needed to go out and put these data centers together. Does that make sense? Okay, now, we're not going to talk about data centers. That's too far over a lot of people's heads right now. It's a lot more complicated. So I'm going to go back down to the basics. Because how many of you guys understand residential homes? Okay, good. So let's start there, okay? Because if I could teach you guys how to go out and build, let's say, a 2,500 square foot house, okay? We build a 2,500 square foot house. That's the rebate for square foot. And I would tell you guys to focus on homes between 1,400 square feet, depending on where they are. These would be more like duplexes, to about 30. I'll let you guys here in Texas get up to about 3,500 square feet, because everything's bigger and better in Texas. Yeah, right. Everything in Texas is bigger and better. Right? Yeah.
That's right.
Did I go back to California?
No.
Is everything in Texas bigger and better? Yeah. All right. Okay. So usually it's 3,000 square feet. Texas is the only place they'll let you guys get up to 3,500 square feet. because everything in Texas truly is bigger and better in Texas. And so a lot of our homes, they do hit that 3,500 square foot mark. Now, we focus on what people need, not what they want, guys. You guys want a recession-proof industry to get into, you got to make sure that you're focusing on what people need.
Right.
Because the biggest thing is when you go in and we have market compression, that's where people get in trouble. Because when the market's going up, and if you have an upward market, like we have 2008, right? 2008 is right here, and we go down in the market, okay? Then slowly about 2012, this is about 2012, we finally start seeing some relief, and we start slowly climbing back up. Now, we surpassed this at about 2016. This is about 2016 here, guys. And we come all the way up, and then the pandemic, man, it was like almost straight up. It was almost like vertical exponential growth when we hit like 2020. Okay? Now, we hit 2024, we hit like 2022, we're on the decline. Okay? Now, the numbers haven't got to 2008 numbers. We're going to start seeing this type of growth back here. Now, here's what happened in 2016, guys. When we come in, and people that got started in real estate anytime between 2008 2012, it's kind of hard to lose. Because if you buy here and sell here, you make money. If you buy here and sell here, you make money. If you buy here and sell here, you make money. If you buy here, sell here, you make money. Even stupid people make money when the market's on the upcline, okay?
Right.
The problem is when you're right here and you buy, and then all of a sudden you hit this and you can't sell. This is where you start hitting the deficit, is right in here. This is the scary part. This is the big questionable part right here. And nobody knew when the market was going to dip. In fact, back in 2016, when I started buying large multifamily instead of small multifamily, I was back in Phoenix, sitting back buying these little fourplexes, duplexes, and all this small stuff. And then I got into large multifamily when I got into like 100 unit plus multifamily. And I saw these 8% cap rates in 2016. Okay. How many of you guys really understand how to underwrite commercial real estate? Raise your hand. Anybody? One person. Okay. Now, how many of you guys really understand how to assess a cap rate? Raise your hand. Okay. Okay. I got a green group. This is good. I'm going to teach you guys some shit today that's going to change your life.
Right.
Okay. Cool. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay. I want you guys to pay attention. I'd stop going over this. Let me grab one of my phones because I'm going to need it for a calculator. I'm going to show you guys what's happening right now. Because how the hell are you guys supposed to make friggin' money if you guys don't even know where opportunity is at? If you don't understand cap rates, you'll never friggin' make money, guys. That's the one thing that's going to protect you from everything that you guys do, is understanding cap rates and values and how they relate to values and percentages of what you're making. Okay, so watch. If this goes over your head, I want you guys to focus on one thing. Okay, I want you guys to understand that as cap rates go up, values, this is cap rates. Cap rates go up, values go down, okay? As cap rates go up, cap rates go down, sorry, excuse you guys. I should have wrote it twice. Okay, as cap rates go down, values go up, okay? This is what we saw right here in 2000 and started in like 2018, okay? Really taking off, where cap rates really started getting silly. And so we saw cap rates go from, like in 2018, they were already at about a 6% cap rate. 2016, I was looking at stuff that was 8% cap rates. My first big apartment complex, I bought it at an 8% cap rate, guys. I was in Tolleson, Arizona. I landed up going into a brokerage firm called the Orion Group. Joe Dietz, who I just had lunch with last week in Phoenix, I came to, didn't even understand. I already owned about $20 million worth of real estate back in 2016. And at that time, I didn't know what a cap rate was. Why this is important, guys, is because it was an 8% cap rate. So when I saw the value on that, he told me we could probably get you into this 74-unit apartment complex for about $7.8 million. And I said, Joe, I trust you. I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but I trust you, all right? And he said, go drive by it on your way to the airport. If you like it, let me know, and we'll see if you're really serious. If I don't hear from you again, I know that you're not really serious. So I went by it, and I've been looking at a bunch of garbage. The apartment complex was gorgeous. And I said, holy shit, I don't know if I can afford this. I called Joe. I said, how much? He goes, I think we can get it done for $7.8 million. This company that I sold it to 4 years ago bought it for way less. Cap rates have compressed a little bit, and I think they're going to make about $4 million, and we could probably get them out of it, and they'll win, you'll win, and it'll be a great purchase for you as a first large apartment complex. So I trusted him. I bought it. We refinanced that apartment complex at a 5% cap rate and a $15 million value, and I walked away with $5 million cash in my pocket, tax-free, back in 2020. How cool is that?
Cool.
4 years, guys, okay? Now, I went and bought another one in 2017, and when I bought that one in 2017, it was at a 7% cap rate, okay? The value of it went up, the cap rate went down. Now, for those of you guys that don't know what a cap rate is, it's like an investment when you invest in stocks. So if your stock annually makes you 8% return on your investment, that's an 8% cap rate in real estate. If you pay cash for an asset and it's selling at an 8% cap rate, if you paid 8% cash for that asset, your return on your money would be 8%. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, when cap rates go down, the value goes up, but your cash on cash return, the amount of money you're getting each month, goes down, okay? But let me show you guys what happens, okay? Because you guys, like I said, if this goes over your head, I want you guys just to understand where opportunity is coming from right now, more so than anything, okay? So don't freak out. Damn, I'm confused with all the numbers. Don't worry. I just want you guys to understand what's happening right now, okay? Now, cap rates got as low as 3%, guys. This was like in 2021. They were as low as 3% cap rates, guys. 3%, okay? Cap rates today are hovering between 5 and 6% cap rates, okay? We're still underwriting at about a 6% cap rate. Now, let me show you why. Let's say that you have a building, an apartment complex, and let's say that apartment complex brings in $200,000 a year in revenue, okay? Let's say it brings in $200K a year in revenue. But let's say that to run it, manage it, pay property taxes, insurance, and everything on that asset, let's say it costs you $90,000. That means you have $110,000 left. That's your NOI. That's your net income, your net operating income, okay? The way you figure out value, and you guys might want to write this down, value equals NOI divided by cap rate. Okay, so when you guys are underwriting assets, how are you guys going to go out and buy a commercial building if you don't understand cap rates and you don't understand values? That's my question to every single person here. The reason that there's 3 people in commercial real estate right now in here is because commercial real estate is, the way that you figure out values on commercial real estate is not based on comps, it's based on performance, on performance. How much revenue that asset actually generates, and the net revenue that it generates is what depicts the value of that asset. So when the bank looks at that asset, it's all coming in based on what the net revenue is. What's up, bro? Based on the net revenue, okay? So when we look at this, when we look at value, let's look at this 2 different ways. Let's look at this at 2001 at a 3% cap rate. If we have an NOI at $110,000 divided by a 3% cap rate, how many of you guys got a calculator? Pull it out. I want you guys to see this on your own. I want you guys to do this, because doing is learning. If I do it for you, you guys ever heard the parable? Teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. Give a man a fish, feed him for a day, right? Pull your damn calculators out. I want to feed you guys for a lifetime. Do it. Okay? Pull them out, guys. Pull them out. You guys didn't come in here to waste your time. You guys came in here to learn some cool shit today, yeah?
Sure. Yes, sir.
Okay. So if we go out, guys, you put in $110,000 and you divide that by 3%, divided by 0.03, it's $3.7 million, right?
Right.
Yeah. So 3.7 million or thereabouts, $3.7 million value. Okay. So $3.7 million. Okay. Now, today's world, we're underwriting stuff. Banks are looking at these same assets at a 6% cap rate. Because here's the thing, guys. How do you pay a mortgage with a 6% interest rate if your cap rate's only 3%? Can you pay 6% in interest and you're only making 3% on your investment? Can you? Yes or no? No, can't happen. So cap rates go in parallel with interest rates. So when interest rates go up, cap rates have to go up. They're forced to go up because you can't service the debt on the asset if the revenue it makes is less than what you're paying in debt service for the asset. Make sense? Okay, so when we come in, we take the same exact $110,000, just like this hotel, guys. Same friggin' walls, same employees, same exact expenses. Nothing's different. The walls are the same, the carpet's the same, the tenant is the same, everything's the same. The rent's the same, the revenue is the same. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is the cap rate itself. So if we divide this by a 6% cap rate, what's the value of that asset? You put $110,000 in there, divided by 6.06, $1.83 million, guys. That's the value. How do you go out and get a mortgage on a building someone purchased in 2021 for this price when it's only worth in 2025, it's only worth this much? How do you go get a mortgage on that? If you're a bank, you gonna lend money on this? No. No. You won't, you can't, right? No bank's gonna, no bank in their right mind is gonna lend $3.7 million on an asset that's worth 1.8. So that's where opportunity comes from, guys, right now. That's commercial real estate right now. So I know that people here, there's all this opportunity in commercial real estate, but where does it exist? It exists right here because of the increase in interest rate. What's cool is we're on a decline because of it right now. It's going to take a minimum, guys, of 2 years to fix this, even with Trump. Trump is not going to last in office long enough. Hopefully Vance is sharp enough to run this friggin' country. God willing, man, like we're praying for that. Because we really need a minimum of 8 years to really get this shit going. Because it's going to take 16 to 24 months just to fix this shit right here. Guys, Trump's not a miracle worker. Right. People are relieving, but guys, it'll take just to go back, because this will never hit this 3% again. But if we can get it to hit 4%, we're doing okay. Does that make sense? Right. That's where opportunity comes from right now. Okay? Why is that important, guys? Because I'm going to show you guys how to build homes and make friggin' money. But if you guys don't want to pay taxes on that money, you need to know this shit. You know why? Because if you don't know this, you're not going to be able to invest in commercial real estate. You're not going to be able to cost segregate, and you're going to end up having to write a check to the IRS. The biggest problem, guys, is not making money. Making money is easy when you have the right business model. And I'll tell you guys, this isn't flipping NFTs and any of that bullshit. This is not going out and doing cryptocurrencies and trying to hit the market right. This is real business, guys. There's going to be homes on this earth that are going to be needed from the time from today all the way until we're 6 feet in a pine box underground. Does that make sense? Yeah. And it's going to go on to our kids. Yeah. And so, like I told my son, all his football team and all, they come to me all the time because they're a great group of young men. But my son, I told him, I said, hey, look, Jacob, I know that you want to go play D1 ball. I don't know what your future looks like. He wants to coach and stuff. I said, I don't care what you guys do for a living. You can coach. You can go out and you can be a teacher. You can be a doctor. Whatever the hell you guys want to do. But you guys have to learn how to do one thing, and it's how to build homes. Because if you build one home a year, and you can do what Dad does and build one home a year, and you make $250,000 part-time, go coach. And you'll still have a very good life. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
That's the foundation of making money. Now, fix and flipping, guys, it's great. It's just too much risk. I don't like the business. I've tried it. When we first started building in 1998, I built one home in 4 months. I landed up selling that house. From 1998 to 2001, we made over $2.5 million. After I paid taxes, we had about $1.4 million in the bank. And in 2001, I hit millionaire status from building houses, guys. We were running concrete. We were doing over $1 million a year running concrete, but it was an active income game. And I had to do it full time, selling projects, selling jobs, managing employees. Right. And we were able to do this with one admin in the office. And I went from doing one home all the way up to doing 12 homes. And by 2004, we were doing 70 homes a year. Okay. Now, how many of you guys would love to do 70 homes a year? Raise your hand. Okay. Now, 2008, the recession hit. We were doing between 65 and 70 homes a year. When we went down to 12 homes a year in 2010, it took us 2 years to scale back down. Our net taxable revenue, the difference from going from 12 homes to 70 homes was $500,000 difference, guys. $500,000 difference. All that work, all those extra homes for $500,000.
Right.
How many of you guys want to build 70 homes now?
No.
How many of you guys would much rather just build like 12 homes or less?
Right.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the sweet spot's between 4 and 8 a year, guys. 4 and 8 a year. That's it. 4 and 8 a year. You'll have a freaking great life. You won't have a heart attack, and you'll freaking always do well. Once you create a monster with a ton of employees, it's a freaking pain in the ass because there's so much waste in employees, and there's so much waste in time. So there was an attrition rate to our revenue. We didn't know that until we grew that big. Come in and join us. There's plenty of seats up front here, guys. Okay, now let's get started. How many of you guys want to learn how to make it to this becomes relevant? How many of you guys want to learn how to make this relevant?
Right.
Okay, let's make this relevant, guys. You guys got this? Anybody want to take pictures of that? That formula is important, guys. That formula is important. Recovered posters on Instagram, guys. We'll follow you back. All right. Fancy spray. I'm going to keep that up right there, guys. We don't need any of this. All right. There we go. Okay, let's make some money. Okay, where are the houses? Over here? It doesn't have to be right in Austin. Not right in Austin. Where are houses selling for between 800,000 and 1.5 million here, guys? Brand new homes, new homes. Lakeway? Where? The Bee Cave area. Yeah, Bee Cave area is a good area. Where else? With all the country clubs in Texas.
Wimberley.
What's that? Where's that?
Wimberley, Bastrop.
Wimberley. Is Marshall still growing? Is it?
Yeah.
It wasn't growing that much when I was there, but it started growing a lot afterwards. Georgetown? Okay. Where is land? Where can you pick up like just a single pad site where homes are like between 800 and 1.5 million, where you could pick up a single lot for under 200 grand? Where at? Lago Vista? Where else?
Pflugerville,
Terrapins.
Jonestown, way out.
Way out? How much are the lots in Bee Cave?
Crystal Falls.
400 grand? But how much are houses in Bee Cave? 3 million? Yeah.
Gotta go down south. Probably.
I know Bee Cave.
Utah, maybe.
What's that?
Crystal Falls.
1.25?
They start from 700,000 to 3 million.
Okay. Where else, guys?
Buda,
Where at?
Buda, south,
Utah?
maybe.
How far is that?
Down south, probably like 30 minutes from here.
30 minutes?
35, yeah.
Okay.
Spice Lake Fire.
We don't want it 400,000, okay? I'm gonna explain why here in just a little bit. 400, you'll go broke. It's like flipping houses, okay? And I'm dead serious, guys, because here's the thing, guys. Here's why I hate this is why I hate fix and flips, guys. Is the average fix and flip you make between $30,000 and $60,000. So if there's a market compression, that $30,000 to $60,000, what's the bandwidth of time that it takes to make that $30,000 to $60,000? 3 months, 4 months, full cycle? It's going to take you several months, right? To buy a house, fix a house, flip a house.
Yep.
Unless you're doing it on television, you have all the crews lined up and you do it all in 1 week. Like they make it look magical, right? So I've never met that magical bandwidth, man. So if you're like me and you can't have a magical bandwidth like these guys on television, it's going to take you a few months. Here's the problem, guys. Market changes. If you go out and even if you make $20,000, go flip freaking hamburgers in In-N-Out Burger, man. No risk, make more money, and you don't have to worry about the risk involved in it. Yeah.
Yep.
So here's the thing: new houses, guys. We build what people need, not what they want. Okay. But we're going to focus on the upper middle class. Okay. So we're going to focus on the upper middle class, and these are homes that are selling for someplace right between. In this area, don't put anything under 650. I would say let's start at 700K. All the way up to 1.5 million, okay? Stay out past 1.5 million, because this constitutes for 24% of the population, right here, the upper middle class of home buyers. Once you get over 1.5 million, anything in excess that's only 2% of the ultra wealthy. Now, I know that there's people in this demographics that want to compete with the Joneses and go buy stuff that's in the upper 2% that shouldn't be buying that stuff. And that's where the problem is that most of your buyers are people that shouldn't be buying that stuff. And so when the market compresses, the people that should be buying that stuff, now they're marketed out of that area, and now your demographics disappears. That's where risk comes into play. Does that make sense? Here's why we don't focus on the lower demographics of the 74%, because whatever's left over here is 74% of the middle and lower middle class. Okay, this is middle and lower middle class. Okay, or poverty. 74% of the population. These are the guys buying the national average between $300,000 to $500,000 homes. Okay, we don't want these guys. When there's market corrections, ladies and gentlemen, what ends up happening is that these people get affected with a $500 variance in income. So if you go out and these people are in a $500,000 house and they just have a 2% difference in interest rates, their payments go up by $1,000 a month just on debt service, guys.
Right.
$1,000 a month. Now, if the house price goes up $50,000, everybody says, hey, house prices are going up too much. You guys realize that the same exact house going up $500 only increases their payments by $200 a month?
Right.
A $50,000 increase only increases their payments by $200, but an increase of 2% increases their payments by $1,000 a month. Do the math, okay? So the reason we don't focus on this is because these people, their income is too volatile, and if the market compresses and things change, they can't afford the house they live in. And these guys are building in volume. These are the DR Hortons, the Pulte's, the Lennar Homes, the LGIs, the KD Homes. You guys heard of these companies? Yeah? Okay. Don't compete with those guys. Let them be the volume builders. Let those guys go out and make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a unit. You can't afford to. You can't play it safe. When people come in and they tell me, they go, Jerome, I just want to build a smaller house. I want to play it safe. I say, you're not playing it safe by building small. You're putting yourself at risk, because if you only have a $50,000 profit to play with and the market compresses, that $50,000 gets absorbed really fast. But if you have $150,000 to $200,000 in profit and the market compresses and you have to take a $50,000 hit, you still make $100,000 to $150,000. So if it takes you 6-7 months, how many of you guys are still doing okay?
Right.
Still doing okay, right? Okay, so we focus on this right here, guys. And when we're doing this, we're focusing on houses between 14 to 3,500 square feet. The reason we do that, guys, is because when markets compress, and I tell people, don't risk it even when the market is good. It's stupid. You don't need to. When the market's good, just take what's yours and get out. Every single person that I know that pushed the market and built big ass homes when the market was good, you're playing Russian roulette is what you're doing. You got one bullet in 6 chambers and you're sitting there clicking, right? And you're sitting back going, one more. I know it's only one, but what if that's the one? I could do one more house. Right. I could do one more. And then you sit back, you get through that one, you're like, fuck yeah, I got that one done too. I'm good. And then what do? You say, I'm going to time this just right. I think if I start today, before the market crashes, I'm going to do one more. How many of you guys ever done that, doing fix and flips? How many of you guys, be honest, how many of you guys ever done that? And you're like, I'm going to time this just right. I'm going to do one more house, right? And then how many of you guys that have done that have always gotten caught with your pants down? You're still like, fuck, I should have stopped at the damn last one, right? Right? Yeah. 100% of all the houses that we fix and flip coming out of 2008, we made either no money or we took a deficit, we took a loss on 100% of them. And I used to do them just to keep my crews busy in between houses. Screw that. We got rid of all that garbage. Don't do it, man. And so I tell you, when I tell you guys stuff, because I'm like, hey, go buy a piece of land. I make money on the damn land you're buying. I have no benefit other than teaching you guys what's worked for us. Does that make sense? Yeah. And what still works for us. So even when the market's good, guys, because what happens is people go, I'm going to touch the water today, and I just need to make sure that it's warm enough for me to get in, right? I'm going, it's fucking warm. Get your ass in. You ain't going to die. Build in this area. Stop dicking around with the $300,000, $400,000 investments. Get your ass in this stuff. But once you get here, you get comfortable. So now you're like, I can do a $2 million house. I can make $700,000 on this building. And you get greedy. And so what ends up happening is sooner or later, you take a hit. Now you're functioning on debt service on a construction loan because you can't sell the damn house. So now you're sitting back, stressed out of your mind, trying to figure out how you're going to pay Paul to pay Peter on that mortgage payment until that house sells. And you're seeing your profits going, well, if I still sell by next month, I'll still make, I know I was going to make $500,000. I'm only going to make $300 now, but if I sell next month, I'll still make $320, right? And then another month goes by, another month goes by, another month goes by. Sooner or later, all of your debt service took all your profits. Make sense? Why do I tell you guys to focus right here? Because it's the safest place you can be. Make sense? In 2008, guys, when the recession hit, and I was building houses, all my houses sold. And it was an accident. I didn't do this on purpose. I just focused on people that had just a little bit more money because I wanted to make a little bit more profit. But the bigger stuff, the big multi-million stuff, it always scared me. So I didn't get into it because I was weak. I was scared. I was very conservative, truth be told. I didn't have the balls to go out and build $1 million homes. Right. I sat back in that market because I was scared. But it saved my ass. And then I sat back and realized, like, shit, I hit it the nail right on the head. I looked real smart, right? I planned it all out. I had this business model. I wrote it out. I did my Harvard Business School business model, and that was my business model. I could tell you guys that, but that's a freaking lie. I got freaking lucky, but that business model worked. So I just sit back and said, I ain't gonna screw with it. If it ain't broken, don't fix it, okay? So here's what we got. Now we go into places like, I know Bee Cave's a little more expensive. Let's go to someplace a little more humble. Within a 45-minute drive from here, 30 to 45-minute drive, can we get a lot and sell it, can we get a lot for like $200,000 and sell a house for about $1 million, 1.1? Can we do that? I know, I'm asking you guys.
Onion Creek.
Yeah. Where at?
Onion Creek.
Onion Creek?
Leander. Georgetown.
Okay, so Georgetown, Onion Creek,
Liberty Hill.
What do you consider the lot size?
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All I'm looking for is pad size. Because all that matters, doesn't matter the size of the lot, all that matters is what I can sell that house for.
Right.
That's all that matters. If I can get over $300 a square foot on my resale, like if I can get $330 a square foot, $315 a square foot, I'm gonna make some money. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter the size of the lot. You can go in and buy one lot and put a duplex and squeeze it in where they're like 5 feet on top of each other if you want. As long as I can get the resale values, it doesn't matter. Like I'm in Kirkland, Washington. I was buying homes for $800,000. I was scraping them, and we're putting up 4 to 6 homes on every single lot, and we were paying like $800,000 for houses to $1 million, scraping them and putting 4 to 6 houses on each lot. They're on top of each other. They're literally 2.5 feet away from the dividing line, so 5 feet away from each other. And we're selling those homes for $1.3 million a piece. We're making $400,000 in every single house in Kirkland. If you guys follow my stories on Instagram, you'll see some of the posts from those because that project's completely done right now. We just finished it about 3 weeks ago, and we're almost 100% sold out right now. Pretty cool. Okay, so the lot size doesn't really matter. It really, all that matters is like if you build in downtown Austin, you need to build dense, smaller lots, but the houses are gonna be more expensive. You build out in like Largo Vista, lots are gonna be a lot bigger, premium lots. You're gonna have a lot more real estate, but the price per square foot on the home is gonna be a lot lower. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you just, it all depends on the area. So Onion Creek, Georgetown, what was the other area? Leander? How do you spell Leander? Leander. Okay, Leander. So we got some other areas, right? So if we go in and we buy like a $200,000 lot in one of these places, can we sell about a 2,500 square foot home? Let's look. Let's just get confirmation on this, so I'm not selling you guys bullshit. Okay? Let me get my other phone. Okay, so we go in, and if we go into Leander, which is the best of those 3 areas, guys? Georgetown is? Okay, let's look at Georgetown. $1 million new homes for sale in Georgetown. Okay, we go back in here, guys. This is a program builder. Let's go back in and let's go look at regular homes for sale. Toll Brothers Zillow. Let's see, Georgetown. Sun City. So there's shit. These are like $14 million homes. $7 million homes. $7 million homes. $5.8 million. 3.7. 3.2. So the lots you got. You think you can get lots out here for about 250 grand?
Yes.
Yeah, I got lots over there right now. In Santa Rita Ranch.
You do?
No.
No. Oh, they do have. How much are those lots?
So I don't know how much the lots is, but I know they have
Somewhere around
lots.
4,500.
Here's a brand new house, 3 bedroom, 3 bath, 2,418 square feet, $1.7 million. Okay, let's say that those lots are $350,000. Okay, you're gonna make like 350, 400 grand on that house. Okay, probably more. Okay, let's go a little bit more humble though. And I just want to keep you guys just a little bit more humble than that. Yeah, there's a lot of land out here, a lot of houses being built out here. $1.4 million, 3,500 square foot house, 1.49, 1.49. Okay, 1.3, 1.25 acres. 1.3, 4,200 square feet, 4,000 square feet, 3,200 square feet for 13.1. This one right here is 3,300 square feet. Let's do something like this one. This one's pretty modest, guys. So we got this one right here. Over at a 3-bed, 4-bath house, 3,294 square feet. This house is over at 30201 Live Oak Trail in Georgetown, Texas. Okay, so pretty simple house. Just looks like regular Texas limestone. Let's underwrite this house right here. Okay, so if we go in, guys, and we do $1.36 million resale. Okay, $1.36 million. Okay, this is the resale price. Okay, and now, I know some of you guys sit back when I can't afford to be in a $1.3 million home for some of you guys. It's okay. How many of you guys were taught about conforming lending in school? Raise your hands. 1 person, 2 people, okay? Conforming lending is lending that you do when you go buy a house, just regular traditional lending. When you go buy a house, you get a mortgage, they're typically looking at your debt to income ratio, yeah?
Right.
They're typically looking at what your income is, right? Commercial lending is completely different. They're gonna pay attention to you. They wanna make sure that you are a stand-up person and that you have decent credit to be able to go out and give you money. But that is one of very few things that they're looking at. What they're looking at is they're looking at it from a financial perspective, okay? The biggest problem that I have, how many of you guys are immigrants? They're first generation here in the United States, raise your hand. Okay, keep your hands up. If this is your first generation immigrant from another country. Okay, I want you guys to look around at anybody that's not from, raise your hand real quick. Okay, if you're an immigrant from another country, you look at these people. I will put a bet on these people before you guys that are here in the United States. Okay, that were born and raised here. And here's why. Not that I don't believe in you, not that your capabilities are less than theirs, but I'll tell you guys, why did you come to the United States, sir? You were in the black jacket. Why did you come to the United States?
Oh, my entire family is here, so they brought me here.
Why? Why did they come here?
The opportunity.
There you go. Why did you guys come here? Yeah, you guys had your hands up, yeah?
No, he's,
Oh,
I came over here for love.
from Lubbock?
I fall in love.
Oh, okay, love. Okay. I pray for you guys. Why'd you come here?
Well, my family brought me over here. I was born here, first generation.
Okay,
Have a better life.
to have a better life, right? Ladies and gentlemen, we live in America, the land of opportunity, the home of the free, land of the brave. The streets are paved in gold over here. It's where our forefathers fought for. But we're born and raised in a country where you guys spent 13,000 hours in an education system that was built by the Rockefellers to teach you guys how to be great employees, not entrepreneurs. Right. It isn't built on the American way. It's 13,000 hours of bullshit, and 90% of it, you don't even spend your time even using it, right?
Right.
You know, like how many know what Pythagorean's theorem is, and how many of you guys are freaking using that every day to make money? Anybody? When did Columbus discover America? You use that shit? Okay. Or, right? Right? You spend 13,000 hours learning a bunch of bullshit, but you guys don't even know what conforming lending is. So how are you guys supposed to go in? The biggest obstacle I have is I tell people, you can get a loan for that, guys. Every single person in here can get a loan for that. If your credit sucks, you can still get a loan for that. You're going to have to go out and build business credit, and you're going to have to teach you how to build commercial credit and a business line of credit in order to do that. But every single person in here can get a loan to be able to build that house. The problem is you weren't taught how to do it. How many of you guys want to learn how to do it?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about it real quick. Okay, and for those of you guys, the whole reason you guys are here is I'm going to invite you guys to my Build Wealth workshop in San Francisco on February 8th. And one of the biggest things, we're going to teach you guys, not just in an hour, hour and a half, I'm going to teach you guys on a full day how to really underwrite this stuff and really how to get after this stuff and really make a difference. How was our workshop in Dallas when you guys came?
Man, it was phenomenal. Life-changing.
Life-changing.
What you're about to teach right now.
Yeah.
I did that right there alone.
Big difference.
So look, Jerome, I'm doing a 5-day land change, right?
Yeah.
So like, even if the lot got a home on it, it's still like, or you just want straight.
No, you can tear it down, man. Most of the shit I'm buying right now has stuff on it, and we're tearing them down. You know, especially because I'm doing a lot of duplex, fourplex stuff right now that I'm teaching. You tear that shit down, just build up. You know, that's for a whole different day. But if you're doing my 5-day land challenge, you're on the right track. You're going steps ahead of a lot of people that are in here. If you're doing my 5-day land challenge right now. Okay, so when we come in and we look at this, guys, here's how this works. This lot over here, let's say it's $300,000. Let's say that we got to pay for the lot itself. Let's say that in this area it's $300,000. Let's get a little bit more conservative. That way we can really build this. This house was 3,294 square feet. So let's just call it 3,300 square feet. 3,300 square feet. Now, here in Texas, labor is typically less expensive, but here in Austin, it's not. According to the National Association of Home Builders, the average price per square foot to build a house is $141 a square foot nationwide. Now, because a lot of you guys don't have any construction experience and are going to have to hire a general contractor to get a loan, it's probably going to cost you guys about $165 a square foot to build this house that's in that picture right there, okay? And that's going to be about your cost. Now, I could probably build it for about $150 a square foot because that's what I've done for a living forever, but it'll probably cost you guys about $165. Okay, fair enough? Yep. Okay, so if we take $165 a square foot to build this house, so we go 165 times 3,300. That's $545,000, 545. Okay, so our build cost, can you guys see this in the back? Or is it black better? Okay, build cost is 545. 545K. Okay, now you're gonna have your resale costs on this as well. Are you guys taking advantage of the new National Association of Realtors settlement where they came in and they're allowing you guys to negotiate your own commissions now? And now brokers have to have disclosure laws? You guys exercising that?
Right.
How many of you guys are taking advantage of it? How many of you guys have brought your commissions down from at least 6% down to 5%? You guys doing that?
Right.
Okay, so let's say that if you guys get a gross sale on a house this big, you negotiate down your closing commissions to 2.5% and 2.5%, so 5%. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And then we go in and cost another 1% for escrow. So we have about 6% for closing costs. Now that's a buy-through cost, okay? Because you bypass it. The two that you're gonna need is you're gonna need to finance these two right here, because most people don't have $300,000 sitting in their bank account, okay?
Right.
And if you do, the last thing you wanna do is have to tie it up in a lot, right? Because liquidity is key, guys.
Right.
The more liquidity you have, the more bandwidth you have. The more bandwidth you have, the more execution capabilities you have. The more execution capabilities you have, the more revenue you can make. Does that make sense?
Right.
So bandwidth is everything. So even if you have 300,000, you can pay for this. Even me, I try to negotiate owner financing on all of this stuff, even though we build cash. And so one of the biggest things is I want my liquidity. I want my money in my bank account because I can use that money for larger projects, okay? So when we go in, we want to get bank financing on these two items right here. Now, we're going to have a resale cost of about 6%, okay, on this number right here. So if we take $1.36 million, $1,360,000, and we multiply that times 0.06, that's $81,600, okay? So we have, let's call it $82,000, 82K. Okay, now we're gonna have some debt service. This is also a buy-through cost, okay? You bypass this. Now, for most of you guys that don't understand conforming lending or commercial lending, let me talk to you guys about how the banks actually get their interest money on these loans, okay? So a lot of people, because the big question is like, well, how do I make the payments on this friggin' mortgage, on this construction loan while I'm building? I need to focus on that. Like, I don't want to have the stress of that. It's called interest reserve, guys. When you guys go in, you get approved on your loan, and I'm going to talk to you guys, I'm going to show you guys the separation on the interest reserve here in a second. But when you guys do this, and we talk about the debt service, like if you go in and you get a loan for $845,000, $845, okay, this is your loan amount. This is what you need to build and execute with, right here, okay? You're going to go in, and they're going to add the debt service to what you owe them. So if you go in, and let's say your debt service, let's figure out your debt service. We have $845,000. Let's say that this is at 9% interest, okay? 9% APR. If this is 5%, 6%, even better. If it gets up as high as 11%, don't worry about it, guys. Interest rates aren't affecting those who are building on short-term builds like houses unless you get stuck in the house, right? Long-term, that's why we're not building multi-million-dollar homes. We're building houses that people need, not what they want, right?
Right.
Because if how many of you guys in here would love to have an extra garage and an extra game room in your house? Raise your hand.
Right.
Right, man? Right? Okay, but do you need it?
No.
No. If your wife, you go to your wife, say, hey, honey, I know we could save $2,000 a month if we don't have it down. And I know we can't afford the $2,000 a month, but just get it for me anyways. How many wives would be like, stupid husband, nothing. We're not getting that shit. We're gonna get a house that we can raise our kids in. How many of you guys are doing that?
Right.
Right? Okay, so we're building what people need, not what they want. Now, when we go in, guys, this debt service is only gonna be for 6 months to 12 months. So if we go in, and the way construction loans work is they don't just dump $845,000 in your bank account. What they do is they do it based on draws of percentage of completion. So when you go in, your first draw might be for $300,000. You're only paying debt service on the $300,000 for the lot. Then if your foundation costs you like $35,000, you're paying debt service on $335,000. If your framing package on that house, that's gonna cost you like $60,000. Now you're paying it on $390,000. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the loan proceeds as they build, your interest rate starts getting charged on the money that you've drawn not everything. So if you go in and you take an annualized amount on that 845, okay, $845,000 times 0.09%, that's a total of $76,000. The rule of thumb, when you're doing a 6-month build, even if you have the loan out for 8 months, it doesn't start to appreciate till the back end. So we'll typically take 30% of it, okay, is the underwriting number. But let's take 50% because I know a lot of people are new and you guys will probably screw up and take a couple extra months, yeah? Truth be told? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so divided by, times 0.5, that's gonna be $38,000 in debt service, okay? That's a little bit on the high end. It'll probably be closer to about 25,000, but let's just do 38K, okay? Now, our total cost is gonna be that 38,000, so we're gonna do 38 plus 82 plus 845. $965,000, okay? So 965K. Okay, that's our total cost to build. Minus $1.36 million. Okay, so 900, so 1 point, we got 1,360,000 minus 965. That's gonna be $395,000, okay? So your net is 395K. Where's that baby at? That's all right, you keep that baby there. You guys hug and love that baby. They grow too damn fast. That's part of life. How many of you guys are parents? How many of you guys love being parents? I love you. I love, that's the best part of life right there, guys. Being a parent. My wife has been, oh, the kids are nervous. I said, let someone tell me something. My kids are fine. I'll slap the shit out of them. I love my kids. Damn sad that they're growing so damn fast. It's crazy. Okay, yeah, the sound of a baby crying in church is music to my ears. I love it. Okay, $395,000. That's your net out, guys. It's $395,000. How are you doing?
Excellent. Good.
Doing pretty good, right? So what if it takes you 12 months to do that? Here's the thing, guys, and I'm going to show you guys how to get financing on that, because I'm not done yet, guys. And then I'm going to show you guys why it's so important for you guys to join me in San Francisco. Look, here's the thing, guys. When we go in and we do this, you don't sit back and watch your framers frame a house. I know that most of you guys in here are working full-time careers and are professionals. And because of that, you guys might be working 40 hours a week. Some of you guys might be working 50 hours a week. But if it took you guys 10 hours a week to be able to make that on top of what you're doing, how many of you guys would sacrifice an extra 10 hours a week to make that type of profit next year? Okay?
Yes.
Because that truly is what it's going to take you. The problem is most of you guys won't spend 10 hours doing it correctly. 10 hours is too much for a lot of you guys. I have students, man, and I was pissed the other day, and I used this on the call with one of my students. They pissed me off. They called me, they were angry at me because they only made $100,000 on their bill, and they underwrote it to make $190,000, and they only made $100,000. And then they told me, we applied everything that you taught us, Jerome, and we only made $100,000. And they were pissed at me. And I went back to their back portal because we can watch everything that you guys do on your back portal when you're part of our community. I can go back in and check. They watched out of 128 hours of content that we produced, they had watched 4 hours. 2 years they were part of our program. Every week I do a live training every Thursday with you guys where I come in and I host the trainings. And those trainings are an hour and a half, but I'm usually on for 2 hours, sometimes 2.5 hours, every single Thursday. And when we go in and do that, 2 years, guys, there's 104 weeks. They've been on 13 calls, 13. But they applied everything that I learned. How many of you guys get a PhD in 13 hours? Any of you guys? And they're pissed because they only made $100,000. And I told them, I said, you know what the problem is? Is you have cranial-anial inversion. You know what that means? You know what that diagnosis is? That means you got your head so far up your ass you can't smell daylight. So how many of you guys like to be one of my stupid students that only makes $100,000 and is mad at me because you only made $100,000 because you didn't do what you're supposed to do? Okay? So look, guys, here's what I tell you guys. Is when you guys come in, here's what you need to do. You need to show up to your job sites. If you work a full-time job and you have to be at your job at 8 o'clock in the morning, show up to your job site at 7:30 in the morning. Spend 30 minutes there. Walk through that job site. If your subcontractor's there, talk to them and tell them what the problems are. As you start getting the trim out, take pictures of all the problems, and once you get to the office at lunch or whatever time of day it is, You just send pictures to all your subcontractors of all the problems, and you let your other subcontractors tell on your subcontractors, for those of you guys that are new, and you guys haven't done this before, how would they do that, right? That's the best way. They are the best eyes and ears you have, is your other subcontractors.
Yeah.
Because they'll sit back and go, hey, the painter's made a mess on the floors and this and this and this. They'll send you a bunch of pictures with all the problems, and vice versa to all the different trades. So for those of you guys sitting back, I don't even know what I'm looking for. You guys will know what you're looking for, okay? Have you guys used the A to Z checklist that I gave you guys? Have you guys opened that up? There's 365 pages, guys. It's a business in a box. For people that go and they join us in San Francisco, I give you guys a link, and I actually produced a whole book. I ended up putting all of our stuff in books. These are booklets, but it's a 365-page book, and I don't have any here, but I just published it, guys. And every single person that goes to San Francisco gets a full book, a link, electronic version with all the spreadsheets. It's 100% of all our spreadsheets that we've built over the years. And it has checklists for absolutely 100% of every trade that you will encounter on the job site. It has a punch list for every single trade. I told my office, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you get all our spreadsheets and send them over to Sarah? Sarah works for me. And I said, Sarah, turn this into like PDFs where I can turn them into a book. She put all these together, and then I got the price to print the book. And I was like, why is that book? Because these books cost me like $3 to print. With the print company, we print in volume. That one was like $20. And I was like, why is it so damn expensive to print? And they go, well, it's 360 some odd pages. It is every spreadsheet that we've built over the last 28 years. How many of you guys would love to have that stuff in a book? All right. So it's in now we have it in a binded book, and we also have it in our same PDF that we've always had it in. Okay. So you guys will get that.
Do you offer the, like a template, the actual spreadsheet?
They're the actual spreadsheets. They're the actual
But not
electronic
just a
spreadsheets.
PDF, but you actually have.
No, it's the actual Excel spreadsheets. They're the actual spreadsheets. We have that. They come with like all the residential and the multifamily. We have a short form, long form.
So do you have a link that like?
We have links that you can do everything. When we do the workshop, we give you those links. So when you're at the workshop, you actually pull up those links. I'm on stage and we go through those spreadsheets together. So if you're a computer person, you have them on a computer. If you're a paper person like me, we print them for you guys. And then we hand them out and you can write them in, all the numbers and stuff in. And we go through them step by step.
Do you have the
I don't have-
ARP for the lenders?
We have everything. Yeah. And it just depends. All the lenders are different. So what they're looking for is going to be slightly different from lender to lender. Okay, now, I'm almost done, guys. How you guys doing? You guys doing okay?
Yes.
You guys, how is this information? Is it good? You guys learning something? Yes or no?
Yes.
You guys learning something? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. Cool. How many of you guys have learned more already than you thought you were going to learn today coming here today? Raise your hands. Okay. How cool is this, guys? I mean, my whole thing, like I tell my team, is when I show up, I'm going to give you guys as much value as possible. I'm going to feed you guys with a fire hose, and I'm going to overwhelm the shit out of you guys. But how many of you guys is it worth your time to learn this type of stuff? You guys, if you learn this stuff inside and out, it'll protect you. You'll never lose money in real estate. I very rarely lose money in real estate. When I say very rarely, it's because 2008 was the only time it was fix and flips, was the only thing that I lost money on. Outside of that, we've never lost money in real estate in over 28 years. And there's never a time that we're not buying. Because it's never a time, like people sit back and say, should I be buying real estate right now? I go, yeah. It's not it's whether you should or shouldn't be buying. It's how you and what you should be buying at that time and how you should be buying it. Does that make sense? Because there was opportunities when I was in 2021. There was a way to buy that stuff at a 3% cap rate. But what you're buying at a 3% cap rate is very different than how we're buying is very different than what we're doing and how we're buying it today. Does that make sense? So the business model is slightly different. Underwriting is what gives you that ability to learn that. Okay? Now, let's talk about getting a loan. Let's talk about getting these proceeds real quick. In those spreadsheets, guys, you're going to have two spreadsheets. One is going to be for your execution. This is for you, okay? It's going to have every line item. The land price, it's going to have the dirt work, the concrete, the framing package, the framing labor, the plumbing, the electrical, the heating and cooling, the trim, the paint, the roof, the landscaping, the doors, everything is going to be on there, every single line item. And when you go to your bank, they're going to want this spreadsheet so that you can give it to them so they know how much money to lend you, right? And they want to see the value of the house. Now, so we're going to have two spreadsheets. This one's for you right here. This one's for the bank, okay? Now, How many of you guys in here work for free? Raise your hand. You work for free? I'll put you to work, man. We've all worked for free for quarters. I'm working for free right now, building my apartments because of the current state of the market. That's for a whole different topic, though. Now, the bank is going to get the exact same spreadsheet, but these numbers in here are going to be inflated by somewhere between 20 to 30%. Okay? And here's why. Remember what I talked about with conforming lending? And when I talked about those people that are not from the United States and I talked about opportunity? Remember when I talked about that, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when we look at this, guys, this is your execution number right here. This is going to be what you use to balance that books. The house value is $1.36 million. Now, in conforming lending, when that house is built, for an investor, it's worth 80% to the bank. So if you take $1,360,000 and you multiply that times 80%, the bank is looking at that from a collateralization standpoint of $1,088,000. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so the bank's looking at it from as a collateralization of 1 million. So for the bank, they're looking at it from an 80% LTV of we'll call it 1.88 million, 1.88, oh no, 1.08 million, sorry guys. $1.08 million, okay? 1.08. Okay, that's what the bank's looking at right there. How much money do you guys need? 845, right?
Right.
Okay, so if you go in and let's say that you inflate these numbers of that 845, if you go in and you say the bank's not going to lend it to you based on loan to value, they're going to give it to you based on loan to cost because there is no value, there is no asset. So they're doing it based on the loan to cost amount, the cost to build that house. Now, how many of you guys know general contractors that work for free? Anybody? You guys know developers that work for free? Okay, you guys don't either. Here's the thing. You just take your profit on the back end, not the front end. The reason that most people don't understand this is because they sit back with, Jerome, where do I get my 20% to go in that the bank needs to be able to do this build? And most of you guys in here are thinking about that right now. Like, Jerome, where in the heck do I get the 20% of the money I need? Because I don't have 20% in order to do that. You can do it two ways, guys. You can either have that 20% in your bank account, or you can create the 20% in equity based on the value of the asset. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, let me repeat that. You can either go out and have 20% of the loan to cost in your bank account, in your pockets, and you can give the bank that, or you can create the equity in value based on what the asset is actually worth. Does that make sense?
Yes.
How many of you guys would much rather create the 20% in
Yes.
equity versus pulling out your pocket?
Yep.
Okay? That's commercial lending, guys. The bank will go in and finance this for you. When you don't have money out of your pocket for the land or the build, here's how you do it. Let's say that you go in and you underwrite this at a $1.2 million build cost. That's still $1.6 million. I mean, $160,000 that's going to be needed on the top end. The bank is still in cloud. Let's say they only give you 80% loan to cost. Your cost, if this amount right here is 1.2 million, this cost right here on yours is $845K. This is your execution amount. This is the bank's amount. You take 80% of that $1.2 million, $1,200,000 times 0.8, that's $960,000. $960,000 loan amount. 960K loan. The bank has $400,000 to collateralize from the top end of that based on comps in the area. How is the bank feeling with a $400,000 collateralization on a finished asset? How are they doing? They doing okay?
That's good.
If you default on that loan, do you think the bank can fire sell that for even like 1.2, make their money back out in profit? Yeah, even if you jack it up, they can probably get somebody to finish it out because they have people that can finish it. So $1.2 million is your underwriting. 80% of that's $960,000. Can you pay for your land?
Yes.
Can you pay for your build?
Yes.
That's commercial lending, guys. In San Francisco, we're going to run through these spreadsheets. I'm going to teach you guys how to underwrite it for your execution and for the banks. Does that make sense? This is important,
Yeah.
because you're gonna need to take this to the bank and show it to them. You're gonna wanna go in and say, the bank's gonna say, what's your budget? And you're gonna hand the budget to them. When they evaluate the budget, they're gonna send your set of plans to the printer, to the appraiser. You're gonna print out a set of plans or send them an electronic versions of your sets of plans, and they're gonna take that set of plans that shows that house is 3,300 square feet, right? This is confusing me up here, okay? Is 3,300 square feet, and they wanna know what those 3,300 square foot homes are selling for in that subdivision over in Georgetown, yeah?
Right.
Okay? And based on these comps, you didn't make these comps, those comps are resale comps. They're gonna take it, they're gonna evaluate it, they're gonna appraise that house at $1.36 million. The bank's gonna give you a $1.2 million credit for your cost. 80% of that, $960, you pay for your land, you do your build, you don't take your profit till the back end. These are all buy-through costs that get charged once you close on the house. Does that make sense?
Right.
These come out of your proceeds. It's a debit to your proceeds.
Right.
They take these from your proceeds at closings.
Yeah, for delivery.
That's right. That's paid at closing. Make sense?
Yeah.
All you need to do to get there is you need to go through the process, guys, and I'll end with this, okay? It's called the process. The second that you tie up a lot and you're looking at a lot, you go in and you get a survey. Okay? The survey you're gonna send over to your architect or your draftsman. The architect's gonna plat a house. What kind of house? The same kind of house that's 3,300 square feet. In fact, if you guys don't know what the shit you're doing, go find a house that just sold really quick. The fastest house that sold, that's 3,300 square feet in that subdivision. If you go into the municipal website, it's all public records, all the permits. You can go in and pull up the floor plan of that exact same house. Don't reinvent the wheel, copy. Just take those plans. I know you guys were taught in school not to copy. If it's not broken, don't fix it, okay? You take that exact same floor plan. If that floor plan was so desirable that it sold really fast, find the house that we had the least amount of days on the market that sold quick. Call the broker and find out to make sure that house didn't sell to an end user that they built it for, but it better yet sold to a buyer that was just out there looking for spec homes. You take that same floor plan, change the elevation on the outside, they won't even know it's the exact same home. Flip the floor plan, change the exterior elevation, change the pitch and the roof lines a little bit. No one will even know it's the exact same home. Build the same damn house and then go to work with it. Does that make sense?
Right.
Ty and I, you guys know who Ty Lopez is? Anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Ty and I are business partners on a lot of real estate. We own a bunch of warehouses together. But during the pandemic, we were building mansions up in Puerto Rico. It's a whole different business model, guys. But we were building these $13 million mansions in Puerto Rico over in Baha'i on the Rio Grande side in Puerto Rico. And when we bought these lots, we bought them for like 1.4 million, and we were building these houses for like 7 million. And then we were selling them for like $13 million. And when the architects were charging us like 400 grand to do architecture, it was freaking stupid. And it angered me because they're ripping us off, you know. But we were in Puerto Rico, it didn't matter. They're like, okay, well, then take a hike, you know, take it or leave it, you know. And so we were like, shit, we have to lick it up. So we got to the second house. I said, Ty, this is bullshit, man. I ain't doing this again. I took the same house, we flipped the floor plan, I changed the elevation. Where we had the tower for the elevator, we had this beautiful pitch on it, and we had the bump out for the stairway. We didn't have a pitch on it in one house. I switched the pitch on those. We put this wrought iron thing in front of the elevator shaft with vines going up it, and they're fake vines. They look real, and it was cool. And so we just changed the exterior elevation. Logan Paul, when he won his first fight, came and looked at that house. Timing was wrong, so we weren't done, and the house that he was looking at was sold. And I told him, but wait for this one. This will be ready in December, January. He goes, Jerome, if you guys don't finish it, I'm screwed. I'll have to pay taxes. And that's why the ultra wealthy, they go down there to buy houses like that for the tax purposes, right? So they have a gross tax of less than 3% out there. So instead of paying 40% here, they go out there and they have less than 3% taxes. That's why the ultra wealthy go out there, and that's the market we're in. When Logan, I told him, I said, that house is the same house. He looked at the finished one. He's like, do this house. I want this house. I said, it's already sold, man. It's in the contract. Can't do it. It's non-refundable, but you can buy this one. And I shook him one next door. I said, it's the exact same home. He goes, that's not the same house. I said, bro, it's the same house, but it wasn't finished yet, right? So it didn't have all the perks and wishes. And I go, bro, it's the same freaking house. And he goes, no, it's not the same. I go, it's the same house, man. He goes, dude, you can't fucking tell me that's the same house. It's the same house. And so I walked him back over to that house, and like halfway through, he's like not saying nothing. I'm talking to him, and he's not saying nothing. He's walking through the house, and then he's walking down the stairs. And he goes, "Oh fuck!" He goes, He goes, oh, fuck, this is the same house. And he like had an epiphany walking down the steps. And I don't know what the hell he saw, but he said, well, same house. And so what I'm telling you guys is you could build even multi-million-dollar homes and just flip the floor plans, and it takes some work for you to really understand that they're the same home when you walk through them. All you do is you change some trim out items, guys. So take somebody else's home. They won't even know you stole their floor plan, guys, I promise. Just take their floor plan, and all you need is to take a screenshot of their floor plan from the actual set of prints that are online, and you can just send that to your architect and say, and always tell your architect, if you're building a 3,300 square foot home, put me together a 3,100 square foot home. Okay? Because if you tell the architect to put you a 3,100 square foot home, they'll hit the nail on the head and they'll get you a 33,100 square foot house. Because architects or draftsmen get paid by the price per square foot of what they build, of what they draw. So they always push it. So just tell them, I want a 3,100 square foot house, and they'll put you together a 3,300 square foot house. It's perfect. Thank you.
Right.
Okay? You send them that floor plan. And so when you guys do that, you send the survey to the architect, and then you're going to need a civil engineer, and you go through your engineering. The cost that you need to come out of your pocket, guys, is for this stuff right here. Okay? And to put a down payment on the lot, or not a down payment, just in some escrow money on the lot. Okay? This process you want to get done quick, so that way you're working between the bank and your negotiations of your project. Now, to save time, 90% of people are going to have the survey to their lots, guys. It's been sold, turned, moved. A lot of that stuff over in Georgetown has probably been resold a few times, has it not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So here's the, oh shit, I'm doing good on time. 4:17. We got started at 4:10. I'm only an hour in. I've covered a lot of information in an hour, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Usually I get long-winded. I thought it was going to be like, I was going to pick up my phone and be like 4:40 or something. Okay, so let me show you guys this now that I know I'm on time. Okay, so look, guys, out of respect for you guys' time, you guys have an app called, there's an app called Land Glide, okay? Most sellers will have a survey for their lot. The first thing you do is you ask your realtor, do you have a survey? Does the seller have a survey for the lot? And if they have a survey, just grab the survey from them and then send it over to your architect right away. Get online. My business partner, Ramez, up in Washington State, he's awesome. When we go in, guys, and and he does stuff, he can pull this stuff up online like in seconds. I'm slower. So it takes me a little while to find that stuff, but you can go into the municipal website and you guys should go in and pull up the plans. And then I'll send that over to the architect and say, hey, put me this size house. It looks like this on this lot right here. And if you guys don't have a survey, what I do to save time is the day that I know that's the lot that I'm going to do, I go in and there's an app called Land Glide. Okay. So the Land Glide app looks like this right here. Can you guys see that? This little app right there?
Land Light.
Land Glide.
Glide.
Land, Glide. Yeah, Land Glide.
Right.
Okay. So if you click on Land Glide and you open it up, any property across the world, you can go in. This property right here is owned by the Waller Creek 11 LTD. Okay. Has the ownership. I can go in. I know everything. I know their address. I can do everything right off of here. I can get all the information. I know that this property sits on 1.74 acres and it's a commercial property, zone F1. The elevation of this whole property is 460 feet tall. I have everything, guys. The whole property information right here. I can go in right here to this. I can click on this right here. I click on my measurement stuff and I can go in and where this thing is highlighted, I can go in and just click on each corner. I can take a screenshot of it and then I can email it straight over to my architect right there with all the different dimensions of the lot that it sits on. You could be your own surveyor. That little blue dot right there is me. So if I go and I want to see where my lot is, I just walk to the corner, my satellite truck, I drop a rock, I go to Home Depot, pick up a can of red or blue spray paint my rock on that corner, walk to the other corner, drop a rock, spray paint my rock on that corner, and walk to all four corners right here with this app. And that's on my own surveyor. Now, we need a legitimate survey, but can I get started like that?
Yes.
Will that save you time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can go in and use my app as my survey company immediately. And I can go in, take a screenshot, and that day, start working on the process. Make sense? Time is money, guys. Yes, sir.
Going back to your example with 1.2 million, you said you had 80% of that was 960, but your costs are like 850 or something, 845.
Yep.
I guess you're collecting the difference on whenever you sell it.
Yeah. So you only get charged what you get. You can get approved for a $960,000 loan.
You're not using the total number.
You don't even use the whole proceeds. They're going to take from this though to pay the interest, this amount, the debt service, is gonna come out of these proceeds. So I always want it a little bit higher so that I don't have to come to the table with the interest reserve. Otherwise, you'll have to deposit the interest reserve. Does that make sense? Otherwise, they'll take the interest reserve as a deduction in proceeds. Does that make sense?
They're gonna allow you to deduct that for your interest payments, your monthly payments?
Yeah, they just take a deduction in proceeds. So if they'll take a percentage of it. So if they say, we're gonna take $50,000 as a deduction in the 960 as your interest reserve to service the debt on this loan, you're gonna owe us the 50,000 more from what you use. So you're gonna owe 895,000, let's say at the end of your loan. You still don't even draw on the other $65,000.
Does that 50 come at the very end or?
Yeah, it just comes out, it's just interest reserve. All it's doing is they're taking it on the back end. They're taking it on the back end. It's a distribution of proceeds. Don't let your brain, don't hold yourself up on that. I can tell you, you have a green personality. You're very analytical, which is good. You guys know the numbers and stuff. You got to know it. I'll help you. You'll understand it. Just know today that you don't have to pay it out of pocket, and it's a distribution from what's called, they do an interest reserve. It's reserve capital that serves the debt on your interest over the proceeds of the loan. And they do a deduction of proceeds. So if they approve you for 960, they're going to do that less like $50,000, whatever their percentage is of the proceeds. And then that $50,000 is going to be for debt service. And here's what's cool, is that if you don't use all of your debt service on the back end of the loan, you could draw upon it if you want to.
Right.
And you can use it once you pay off the loan. They'll even ask you, hey, you still have X amount of money in interest reserve. Do you want to take it, or do you want to use it towards paying down your loan? And so you can either take it in proceeds. It's all evaluated. I'll say, what's my cost of my money? When the cost of my money has gone expensive and it's like 11%, I'm like, screw that. You keep it. I don't want the debt service. But if I could use that money for another project, and let's say that my debt service is like 5%, I'll be like, damn, I can get another 100 grand out of there at 5%. I can use that 100 grand to start another build. I might draw on my interest reserve. Does that make sense? So you can use it multiple ways. The problem is you don't know what you don't know. But when you know and it becomes apparent, it's like an epiphany. You're like, damn, you learn how the banking really works. Now you have tools, and those tools can help you scale. Does that make sense? So there's like different ways that you can use your interest reserve, and it's really friggin' cool. But you have to understand how banks work. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? There's a lot of different ways to that. Yes, sir.
What bank are you using? Because I've gone to a few local banks here in Austin, and they're like, show me your P&Ls on your company for the last 3-4 years. You know, it's a very high doc loan process.
Mm-hmm.
They underwrite you as a person, and then the loan is the project.
Yep.
So how do you get around that if you're doing this for your first build? Or
Yeah, so for your first build, guys, I always tell people, we have affiliates that we work with that will do, like, I always tell people the easiest way on your first build is to do like an owner build, okay? Now, here's what happens, guys, is like, and we do this a lot with even our affiliate builders. Even if you're gonna build and hold, like we have a lender that specializes specifically like for people that are doing build and hold strategy, where they go in and they're gonna build to hold long-term. And they end up renting it for like either through like an Airbnb and short-term rental model, or through the BRRRR strategy where they hold it long-term. And it's a build and hold investment loan. So it's very similar to a build, an owner build. So you can do it both ways. Or you can go like to a credit union or local bank, which I always recommend, and you can go get a loan from like a credit union on an owner build. Now, here's what I tell you guys, is that this is like a gray area where you go in, you do an owner build, and when you build it, you're building with the intent to live there, right? You're building with the intent to live there, right? Right? You guys are building with the intent to live there, yeah? Right? You guys are building with the intent to live there, yeah? Okay. But sometimes life circumstances happen, yeah? And so at the end of the build, is the bank going to put a gun to your head and say, you have to live there? Right? Life circumstances happen, guys. So on your first build, guys, sometimes it's a build to own circumstance, or you can use one of our affiliates where you can do your build to invest in long-term hold for like BRRRR or for like long-term rentals and stuff, and they're made for investment lending, but it's for you to hold, not to sell, because the municipalities won't give you a permit until you have experience, okay? So that's why you have to learn how to use a general contractor. There's multiple ways to get a general contractor. Your general contractor is who's gonna vet your experience for you. It's called the process of 30. I teach it and I share with you guys how to hire subcontractors, general contractors, and all that. I can't get into all that today, or you guys will be here. You guys won't have dinner, nothing. Your spouses will hate me, your kids will starve, and we won't have time to go through all that information. But where we will have time to go into that is in San Francisco. Does that make sense? So look, guys, here's the whole goal, right? There, you guys have a ton of questions. And the reality is I can only open up so many, broaden your mind so much in an hour and 15 minutes that I get you guys to a point where you guys can see it. If you guys understand where the business model comes from and understand that there's execution methods, that's what you guys need to understand right now. Then execution comes. But you're not going to be able to get the entire business model in an hour, unfortunately. I wish I was that freaking good, but I'm not that good, right? So it's going to be a process of learning. So what I did starting last year, and I've only done 2, guys, and I'm going to do a 3rd one next year. And I don't know how many of these workshops that I'll end up doing. So far, I've done 2 of them, and I'm doing one in February on the 8th. I built these workshops, and I really do them for free. Your investment is $598, okay? If you have a spouse or a business partner, it's $100 for your business partner, okay? Now, let me tell you what that investment gets you, okay? We start off, we usually do a Friday meetup. You guys come to a Friday meetup, it's very similar to this. You get it here, but I'm talking about here, a second time, which helps you because most people only retain about 7 to 10% of what they hear the first time, okay? But I know you guys are geniuses. You guys are still getting at least 50% of this, yeah? Right? Okay, so you guys will be able to get a second round of what I just went over today. Then your brains will be fresh. On Saturday morning, we open the doors at 8 o'clock. And we go all freaking day. You don't leave that room. I get a big, massive room, right? And then I fill up all, and we do them crescent style chairs and tables. They're all tables where you guys get to learn. And my Build Wealth community is there. These are people that have been working with me for a minimum of 12 months. And these guys all have to have a build or 2 under their belt. Most of them are already hitting millionaire status that are there, right? The ones that are there, and you got to meet them, talk to them. They're at your table and have one at every single table. They're our students. And you're not just learning from me, you're learning from my students that are 1 year, 2 years, 3 years ahead of you guys that are doing exactly what we're doing. And they were sitting in your seats a year ago, 2 years ago. So it's people like Miranda, it's people like Rich Main, it's people like Tony Herrera, it's people like Eddie. We're talking firefighters, stay-at-home moms. We're talking like all different types of people, guys, from all different walks of life, just like you guys. And they're there. And then I teach from stage. I'm in the audience. I walk around with microphones, and we interact all day long. In the morning, we teach the residential single-family game, and I teach you guys the underwriting from start to finish. We focus on this right here, okay? We're going to do it a little different than what we did in Dallas and what we did in Scottsdale on the last one. When we go to this one, we're going to do this, but I'm going to enhance this with a little bit more of the banking and the business credit aspects of it. So for those of you guys that have bad credit or want to scale quicker, I didn't go over the business credit part with you guys, and it's a real important aspect, guys. The second that you get started working with us and you create your first LLC, when you're part of our community, we help you with a company affiliate that we have called Prime Corp Services, and we give you your first LLC for free. You have to pay the state filing charges, but we create the LLC for you guys for free through one of our subsidiaries. And then when you guys do that, we teach you guys how to go in and start applying and building business credit immediately. Getting your EIN numbers, getting your DUN number from Dun & Bradstreet, getting you registered with the Better Business Bureau, and then getting credit right away. So by the time you're done with your first build, what your question is a moot point anymore. Because now you have a business line of credit. So when they ask what your financials are, you tell them my first year in business, I did $1.36 million in gross revenue. You guys realize that 95% of businesses fail in the first year, and those that don't, they run in the red for 2 years, guys. They run in the red for 2 years. You pull a business out of the ground and you show a net income of even half of that your first year, net taxable income of even 200 grand, and you go to a banker and you tell them, my first year in business, we did $1.36 million, and it's one house, but the gross revenue is still $1.36 million in gross revenue. And you go out and you show that your net revenue, your first year, is 300 grand plus, your business credit just gets escalated. So all of a sudden, you take these base accounts that we help you guys start, and then you start asking for larger lines of credit. And we help you guys build business lines of credit. So I'm going to focus and enhance it at this workshop in the morning, talking about that. Then at lunch, guys, we don't leave. I buy you guys lunch. Lunch is on me. How was lunch?
Wonderful.
Yeah. Is it a box lunch? Peanut butter and jelly's good. I get some good freaking jelly, guys. My job, we make it. I curate it. We give you guys a full spread. Salads, chicken, meat, everything, guys. Full spread of lunch. It's on me. and I feed the entire group. You guys ever go to workshops, you guys have to leave, find a restaurant, you're trying to race back. I don't want you guys leaving. So we sit back and then we open up the other side of the conference room. I feed everybody. And then everybody stays there and they network and they talk and they work on what they were working on during lunch. And then we come back and after lunch, we go in and we work on multifamily. And here's why. Because and small multifamily, guys, and I'm going to end on this. Small multifamily. Large multifamily, there's not one person in this room that can get over 100 units coming out of the ground. No, not one person in this room. I'm having problems, guys, and all our stuff is like 200 units plus, and we're getting leverage with like 52% loan to cost. So we're having to raise where they're like $60 million bills. We're having to come to the table like $25 million out of our own pocket. I got like 5 of these going on. I'm like, have to come to the table like $100 million, right? I'm like, going, holy shit, man, we're stressed out of our minds, putting $100 million of liquidity behind these bills. So we're like pocketing some of them. So my whole thing is like, don't put yourself through what I'm going through with large, massive bills. 5 unit, 4 unit, 6 unit builds, guys, in the afternoon. We're going to go through this and we're going to go through the underwriting in depth. And here's why. Because if you go in, this build is 3,300 square foot on the under air area. You probably have about 1,000 square feet on the garage. You probably have about maybe a 600 square foot porch in the back and about a 250 square foot porch in the front. But altogether, you have a 40, 46, 49. You guys have about 5,000 square feet of space that you guys are building, okay? When you go in, guys, and if you guys go in and you build one fourplex and every unit's 1,000 square feet, that's 4,000 square feet. It's smaller than building one of those houses.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The undertaking of building a fourplex is the same undertaking as building one house. The only difference is you got 3 extra kitchens. That's it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to teach you guys in the afternoon. Because the lending on 2 unit, 3 unit, and 4 unit bills is the same type of lending as a single family home. It's a residential loan. And you can even get like FHA financing and you can get interest rates as low you can get down payments as low as 0 to 3.5% down. And if you guys do an owner occupancy in one of those 4 units,
Yeah.
you can get FHI financing. How many of you guys intend to live in one of your 4 units?
All right.
How many of you guys have planned on moving your family of 8 into a 2-bedroom apartment? Right? Okay? Life circumstance happens. You have a 9th kid, can't live there anymore. Right? It's too many, not enough bedrooms. Right? Okay? Life circumstances happen. Right? So we're going to teach you guys that in the afternoon, guys. And oh, by the way, so we don't market these guys. You have to come to one of our meetups to go to these. We only allow 200 people in the room at our workshops. That's it. We don't do like, have you guys ever been to my Build Wealth workshops, my summits, my big ones? Okay, we put 1,000 people in the room, and it's a show, man. We have lights and big stages, a lot of big fancy speakers. I'm your speaker. My students are your speaker. I'm not bringing any other speakers, guys. I don't bring anybody else in but me and my students. Because the only people you need to learn from, you guys don't need motivation, you guys need information.
Right.
And the information that we have, we're going to give you from us. I'm not going to entertain you guys. I'm not going to do circus tricks and backflips. I'm going to feed you guys with a fire hose. Make sense? So the goal on these workshops is to give you guys tools and resources to go crush it. Does that make sense? When it's all said and done, we make nothing on these workshops. I do them for free, guys. So when you guys come in, it's $597 is our normal ticket price and $100 for a +1. Okay? The day of the workshop, the day that I host these, I bring them down to $397. Okay? So today and today only, it's $397, and it's still $100 for a +1. So if you have a spouse, it's $497. Okay? And so if you guys register today, if you guys look at your phones right now, that QR code up there is the registration link to register for San Francisco. On this table, there's another one. On your phones, my team, about 30 minutes ago, sent you a text message. There's a link for you guys to click and register to be able to go to the Build Wealth Workshop. Okay? Now, here's the problem, guys. When you guys, well, let me show you guys this real quick. The afternoon, guys, the reason that we do these is, let's say that little fourplex is worth like $1.5 million on the value of the fourplex. Okay? The reason you have to get into commercial real estate, guys, is because how many of you guys want to send a check for $180,000 to the IRS? You guys take all that freaking risk. You guys put all that effort out, and you guys have to write a check for $180,000 to the IRS. Not a person in here wants to do that. So when we go in, if you build a simple fourplex and the value is $1.5 million, you can depreciate, you can do bonus depreciation, take 80% of that the very first year. God willing, Trump continues that and brings that back on our bonus depreciation. And if he doesn't, you can still cost segregate it and take up to 60% of it. And if you go in your very first year, and what's cool is it never expires. So if you go in, you can't depreciate the land, but if the land costs you like 300 grand, that's still $1.2 million. If you take 60 to 80% of that, you can go in and write 100% of this off through cost segregation against this fourplex. This thing cash flows. Now you have a cash producing asset that produces cash for you forever, and you can cost segregate it against your profits and not pay any taxes. How many people think that's pretty freaking cool?
Good.
Okay. Right now, we're building big multifamily, guys. I'm building them for free for this purpose right here, because we can't get them to cash flow. We can get them to cash flow on the cap rate, but we can't get a cash out. We're building them for free. No development fees, no asset management fees. I'm building them strictly for the tax benefits of them. That makes sense? We'll make our heyday in 5 years from now. When the market stabilizes, we're able to cash out on those things. We'll make freaking millions and millions and millions of dollars. But I'll build them for free, so I don't have to pay no taxes to the IRS. How about you guys? Yeah? Okay, that's what we're gonna learn in the afternoon, okay? Now, here's the thing, guys. Some of you guys, when I come in and we go through this stuff, people sit back and I go, we're 3 months away, guys. We have all the distractions. We have Thanksgiving in, is that next week? It's a week from tomorrow, right? Okay, yeah. Okay, so we have Thanksgiving, we got Christmas, we got Hanukkah, depending on what your religious beliefs are. We got New Year's, all kinds of distractions between now and then, right?
Right.
So easy. Here's the problem. Some of you guys will go in and you guys will disappear into your problems and into la la land, okay? And that's just the truth of the matter, right? And then there's some of you guys that are sitting back and you guys understand that this is not some bullshit business model. This is a real business model. We use this every day. My son is doing his first build right now. In my living room, guys, I rolled out a set of plans about 2 months ago. And I told my son, I said, you got to do a build next year. And he goes, yeah, Dad, I'm going to do a build. He's real excited, right? And so I sit down with my son and I go, Jacob, I need you to staple these set of plans together. And I gave him a list of everything he needed to do. And I said, if you're going to build a house, this next house that we're going to build, you're going to get this permit ready for me. I had already done all the architecture, all the stuff. I just wanted him to organize it. And so I put it in the middle of the den. Okay, you wives, listen, I told my wife that friggin' thing doesn't move from there until Jacob staples it together. She goes, okay, no problem. 2 days goes by, no problem. 1 week comes by, no problem. Kind of no problem. I can see her again. One day I come home, it's folded up in the corner, and I go, I put it back in. She goes, why'd you put that there? She goes, our cleaning lady comes, and I go, don't worry about it. So I talk to Luz. I say, hey, Luz. I go, and I tell my cleaning lady, that shit stays right there. You don't move it. And so she's cleaning around it. She goes, she goes, she'll let me move this stuff. And so she goes, she cleans around, she puts it back for me. So she already knows. It took my son 3 weeks. My wife about killed me. But he stapled them. And so one day he comes to me and I can't even remember what he would ask me for. And I said, yeah, you could do that, no problem. I said, as soon as you get that thing stapled, you can go do that. And he goes, oh, Dad. And I said, I ain't kidding. My wife said, come on. And I said, it's not going to get done. I'm going to leave it there until he gets it done. And then he stapled it, put it all together. Guys, I'm that persistent about this business model with my kids, my wife, and I'm that adamant about it for my own children. Because I told my wife that my daughter and my son, I don't care what they do, this is what they need to learn. Because if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for every single person that's sitting in this room. Because I know one thing, man, if my kids learn this simple piece of what I do, this is the simple piece of what I do. I'm not telling them to learn this. Just build a house, guys. I know that my kids, my son or my daughter, can stand on their own 2 feet forever, no matter what. They don't need to depend on Dad dying. I plan on living a very long time, so I don't plan on them inheriting my shit for a long time. I hope they're in their 60s or older by the time they inherit my stuff, right? I was 34 when my son was born, so I hope that they're old enough. I hope I'm 100 years old before I go, and they're in their 60s. So they have a long life to live before they inherit my stuff, is what I'm saying. And so if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for you guys. 3 months for some of you guys is too long. Those of you guys that get started and you guys are coming to our Build Wealth workshop with us in San Francisco, I'm going to host a free bonus call once a month between now and then. So you'll get 3 bonus calls. And I'm only doing that to keep you guys curated, your brains moving between now and then. For some of you guys that are action takers, how many action takers we have in here that I can sit back when I don't want to take 3 friggin' months? Raise your hands, okay? You say, man, I'd really like to get started doing something like this like now. I don't want to wait till February 8th. For action takers, guys, you guys are invited to be a part of my community. To be a part of my community is a commitment, okay? Here's what's cool about being a part of our community. We have over 1,200 members nationwide now. It's a big community. We have people in every major city across the entire United States, including right here. We have a few of our members that are part of our community that are here today, and we have more in the Austin and San Antonio area right there. So we have a lot of people that in every single week we come in and I host a free call for you guys. And every single week, every Thursday, and once you're part of our community, you're part of our community forever. There's no renewals, there's no annual renewals, none of that bullshit. You guys come in one time, guys, and you're part of our community forever. And then if it takes you a year to figure this out, you get a year. If you want to start tomorrow, you start tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock Central Standard Time, we host a call every single Thursday. Once a month, I do one on a Saturday. So that way people that work during the week, they can bring it. You guys bring your projects to our call. I teach every week. And then after I teach every week, at the end of the call, I look at the projects from people in our community. And then I go through my project portal, looking at your guys' projects. And I work on your guys' projects with you guys. You guys get 128 hours of online content that you work through in modules, step by step. Those people that are most successful are the ones that utilize that content, even if they have experience. Because I guarantee 100% without a shadow of a doubt that if you watch that from start to finish, no matter how much experience you have, you're going to learn some really cool shit in there. And it's going to make, when you go to our workshop, tenfold where you guys will be without going through that stuff. How cool is the online content? How helpful is it? You get the 5-day land challenge, you get all our, you get everything.
Real detailed.
Yeah, we go through, guys, it took 6
It
months.
takes real fast, like you gotta be ready right now. Cause Father's Day land challenge, it's like you already looking for land. They got you walking through how to do everything.
No, the online content, guys, it took like 6 months. It was the hardest freaking thing I've ever done because I had to commit to it. And so when I wrote this program, guys, I was like, I really had to focus on it. I did it back in like 2018. We've updated it over the years since then. But the online content stuff is incredible, guys. The education. It is a financial commitment to come in. It's a one-time $10,000 commitment to come in forever. You guys will learn how to save that money on your window package, on your houses. You guys will get a $20,000 window bid on one build. And I'll teach you guys how to bring that window bid down to $10,000. And then everything else for the rest of your life is free. Because I'll teach you guys how to save $10,000 just on your freaking window package. Guys, life pays in dividends, okay? And I'm going to end with this because I used to be the largest Subway franchisee in the state of New Mexico and Southern Colorado for about 10 years, 11 years. After the 2008 recession, we bought a ton of Subway stores to fill our retail buildings, and we landed up buying more so we could run them. And I used to tell the kids, because I had a job in 1998, in 1988, I got a job at Smith's. You guys know H-E-B? It's Kroger's. It's Smith's is owned by the Smith family out of Utah, not anymore. It's been sold. Kroger's bought them out. But I got a job there in 1988. Minimum wage was $3.85 an hour back then. And I lied about my age because the law changed that you had to be 16 to get a job at that time. And I was already working selling papers and selling cotton candy at the sports stadium when I was a kid. And I lied about my age, told them I was 16 to get a job when I was 15 years old at the grocery store. And I would stock milk and I would stock after work. And I do it for free at $3.85 an hour. I didn't get paid stocking fees. And I did it for free because I was afraid to lose my job. And they asked me to do it. In those days, you actually worked when your boss told you to work, right? Not like today. And so I became a manager of that store in 1992. And I was in charge of $20,000 a day per till. $200,000, 10 tills at night. And I was in charge of over $200,000 a day from those cash registers. In 1992 was when food stamps were still food stamps. It was when welfare and AFDC were still on the old checks for commodities. And when coupons were still clipped and handed in. And we couldn't be more than $2.50 off on any of our tills. And if we were off 3 times, we'd get fired. I'd run Subway stores and I'd have $100 variances daily on stores. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I ran a friggin' grocery store, right, $2.50 on $200,000. And if I did it 3 times, I'd get fired. You guys are losing $100,000 a friggin' day. And they weren't stealing it. They were that dumb.
Right.
Seriously. You know, because there's no accountability on that stuff, guys. And the reason I tell you guys that is because the education I got at $3.85 an hour when I started in 1988 still pays me in dividends today. I would tell those kids, I say, you guys understand, I opened up beauty salons using the same systems and processes that I did from that grocery store. I used my Subway stores, I used their processes and systems, but the way I managed them was through the same management skills I was taught back in the late 80s and early 90s. I opened up coffee shops and juice bars. I ran a agave juice bar. When I opened up the restaurant of agave, and then on the other side we had the bar on the Riverwalk, the systems and processes that when I opened up that bar and stuff came from my payment in dividends from me working for $3.85 an hour at a freaking grocery store, guys. And so when I tell you guys, don't look at your investment, come in and invest in yourself. It's like, how do I get my money back? Your education, the goal is for that to pay in dividends for the rest of your life, forever. If you look at it like a monetary return on investment, you lose. It's not an investment today. It's an investment in your life forever. It's a long-term dividend that pays today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, a decade from now. And the only thing you take to the grave with you is what you take up here. Does that make sense? It's an investment that pays in dividends for the rest of your life, period. And I told my Subway employees, I know that you guys didn't come in here and say, hey, I was born to be a sandwich artist. But if you learn how to come in and work for us and you understand the systems and processes that you use, you can take that with you forever and utilize this as a stepping stone to what is to be in your future. Does that make sense?
Right.
And so no matter what you do working with us guys, when you come in the day, like one of these events, we discounted $2,000. So you guys come in, it's actually $8,000 investment one time, and then you guys are with us forever. We do offer some payment plans too. And so Josh is in the back. Josh, you can raise your hand back there. You see Josh back there? Big old teddy bear, man. Big old Josh back there. Big dude. Love Josh. Okay, guys. For those of you guys that don't want to wait for the workshop and want to get started working with our community and want to be on tomorrow's call, raise your hand really quick. Okay. If you have your hand up, go ahead and stand up. And I'm going to have you guys go back and just talk with Josh. Go ahead and talk with Josh. Okay. Hang out with you guys. Okay. Cool. For the rest of you guys, I just want to open up for Q&A, and then we'll network for the rest of the afternoon. And for those of you guys that want to get started with, how many of you guys didn't get the QR code for the to register for San Francisco? Anybody did not get the QR code or not get the link on their cell phones? Raise your hand. Or everybody got it?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Cool. If you're not, you guys scan that QR code. All right, ladies and gentlemen. The rest of the floor is your guys. Yes, sir. You didn't get it?
No, I was talking to Robert right now.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, the floor is your guys. I open it up for some Q&A for you guys.
So this question is about the preferred price range between 700,000 and 1.5 million. I have a couple of builder buddies that, like, over the last 2 years, they got hit really hard in their price range with the new development in infill Austin. So what would be your response to that, and how could you submit something like that?
So you're gonna look at all those comps and stuff. So I'm going off of your guys' information right now. We look at all that and we'll teach you guys about that. Here's what's cool, because we're climbing out of that stuff right now. Usually what I tell people is stay between 700 and 1.1 million. Here in Austin, it's a little bit different market because you guys grew too fast. And so the thing about Austin, Denver is the exact same way. It's like, see, California is not that way because California has had long-term steady growth. It's always been friggin' expensive. Does that make sense? So California has held its prices. The problem with Austin and Austin, Boise, Denver, Salt Lake City, Phoenix is still not, man. Phoenix is freaking crazy. Yeah, man, Phoenix is freaking nuts still. So Phoenix hasn't even got hit. That's what I was talking about. Miami hasn't gotten hit either. Now, if you go to Fort Lauderdale, just outside of Miami, those areas have gotten hit. But once you get out of like the Fort Lauderdale area, Port St. Lucie, all that other stuff, all the way up, that stuff barely got hit for a few months, and it's fine. It's doing great. We have students. But so Miami,
Yeah.
Miami's an international commerce, man. It's an international market. So the thing about international markets, like Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, New York City, Miami, those areas will get hit for a very short period of time. Those areas are international because they bring in international commerce. If you go anywhere in the world and you say Miami, Florida, you can go to the Middle East, you can go to Asia, you can go to Africa, and if you say Miami, Florida, they know where it is. But if you go to the Middle East, you say Austin, Texas, some people might know, but not everybody, right? What's that? Houston's good too. It's on international commerce, but it's not international commerce like Miami, but it's a stronger one than Austin is. Dallas Fort Worth is the strongest commerce that Texas has. They're experiencing 8,000 new residents weekly. 8,000 a week. Okay, so to answer your question is now you can look at it from hindsight, right? You know what's up. The market is already there, so it grew too fast in that area. So don't hit that market. Now you use that as leverage to go get cheaper land. You guys, everything starts in the land. Everything. So if the market gets hit, you start off with a lower basis. And the lots that aren't selling, the ones that get stubborn, the ones that are still living in 2021. Let them sit. Those lots will still be there for sale in 2-3 years from now. Let the market come back. Then, in 2-3 years from now, the market comes back, then go buy that land. But then you go back in and you renegotiate the land. And you sit back and go, hey, I'll give you $200,000. Because where there's $300,000 lots, there's $250,000 lots. There might be people stubborn and stuck at $300,000, but you can find $50,000 to $100,000 discounts on this stuff because there's people that bought it expecting to flip it and they just didn't out. There's people that want to retire and they'll come in. I bought a lot 6 months ago that we're building on right now that I'm just starting. This lady paid $290,000 for it in 2006. And she was expecting to go and build a spec home or a custom home on it. Those lots still aren't worth that much now. So the lots got is expensive. It's like $190, even at the height of the market. Never got back to the 2006 numbers. And I landed buying that lot for $100,000. She had it for 130, and I went to her and I said, I don't need it. I'll buy it from you, but 100 grand is my maximum capture. I can't let it go for 100 grand. I said, well, if you change your mind, call me. And I knew I could go into it for 130. I just didn't need the land. So when she called me back, like about 2 months later, she goes, you know what? I just want to sell it. She goes, when can you close? I said, write up the contract. We'll close on it next week. And so they wrote the contract. I wrote them a check. I closed it next week, $100,000. $295,000 lot. Okay, that makes sense?
Yeah.
There's lots like that out there. I can tell you story after story about that just on houses that we're doing. That's why I buy everything now, because I don't care. I'm not emotional. I know where that lot came from. There's another lot out there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So your protection comes from your land. Okay, and negotiating with your subs. Subs are not as busy. How do I know? Lot Brothers out of Round Rock, Austin, here is one of my general contractors in Phoenix. And they do some of my builds for my big apartments. If you Google them, Lot Brothers, Justin Lott and Michael White, they're my GCs. They're good friends of mine. They're GC in one of my builds out there. I had a cake built from them on one of our Camelback project. They were our GC. And I called, Justin Lott called me and said, you guys have to bring the prices down. I can't afford the prices you guys are bringing. And he goes, and I said, are you guys willing to go and negotiate with the sub? He goes, nah, we're not willing to. This was back last February. This summer, he calls me up and I go, Justin, I can't use you guys, man. It's just, I can't afford to build costs. So all of a sudden, he's seeing it a different answer. He goes, Jerome, we'll do it from 7% GC fee down to a 4.5%, and I'll reshop all the subs. He went back, lowered my cost $5 million. $5 million. I mean, it's a $52 million bill, so 10%.
Yeah.
But 10% lowered my overall cost, 10%. $5.2 million drop in cost. So here in Austin, guys, they're struggling. Companies are struggling, even right here too. So labor's less. Now's the time to negotiate. If you absorb that, is it your cost to build? Cool?
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
The only way to do lower middle class with lower prices is duplex and fourplex only. And you build them under condo law. So in other words, you build them as a fourplex, but you permit them individually as individual units. So you have two business models. You can either sell it as a fourplex based on the revenue, like I talked about, like we do the underwriting for multifamily based on revenue, or you can comp them out individually, and whichever's going to bear you the biggest profit is how you sell them. So you can underwrite them two ways. Now, I kind of threw that out at you, and I didn't teach that today, That's for a whole different day. I have a webinar that I'm doing on the 25th. Join me for that one. I'll explain it to you. Make sure you walk in for that one. You need to get down to San Francisco. And join me in San Francisco. And then you can do more middle class stuff. That stuff is all like $350,000 to $400,000, and you'll make $100,000 per unit. For really those duplexes and fourplexes. You'll make like $400,000. Especially here in Austin. They're $400,000, man. They're way more affordable. Yeah, you could do 2-story builds. You could sell those things for $400,000. You could do 2-story builds on those and just do them as under condo law, and permanent like condos. You do a fourplex, you can still get a residential loan if you do them all attached. You do them like a residential loan, still do them as a fourplex for financing purposes. But for resale purposes, you can condo. That makes sense? Yeah, so there's little tricks to this whole business. It's knowing all those, having all those tools. Okay.
Jerome, I have a lot that I paid $70,000 for, and on that same block, there's a 3,300 square foot home. These are zone single family.
Yeah.
So that's worth about $500K.
Okay.
That's current, so it's on the same block. So what would you do with that?
It depends on the comps. Everything's based on comps. So I won't do a business model. Look, you don't go and just find land. What I do, everything that I do is comp based. I need a proof of concept is what I look for. So all I'm looking for, anytime I look for something, I'm looking for proof of concept. Like right now, I want to document the process of a fourplex. Like what I'm talking to him about for our community. I haven't done a fourplex in forever, and I probably would have never done one if the economy wouldn't have gone as bad, because I've been so busy on my big bills. But I sat back and I told my wife the other day, I said, you know what I think I'm gonna do? I think I'm just gonna go downtown. I'm gonna go tear down a house downtown, and I'm gonna build a fourplex, 4-unit build for our education community. And I want to prove it, right? Like I want proof of concept, man. I want the numbers. I want to build it for that price. I want to show everything to everybody and be like, bam, there it is, baby. I told you, right there, yeah. And so no bullshit, here it is. And so, because that's just the type of person I am. Damn, I want documentation, right? So my whole thing is I have to have proof of concept. So my thing is like I have what I want. I have the business model in my brain. Now I got to find the area that supports what's in my brain. Right. So my whole thing is I can't tell you exactly what to build. All I can tell you is you have to see what there is proven for concept in that area. Like my Taylor Street build right now, it's a little 30-unit build. I bought it's in downtown Phoenix. The only reason I bought that is if there went to bid, there was a 12-unit that had just been built. It was less than a year old, and they sold it. I had the rent rates, I had the comps, I had the performance, I had everything from that 12-unit. And when I looked at it, if you guys look at the land, it is ugly as shit. It's in downtown Phoenix. But I was like, damn. I comped it on that, and I said, worst case, if I just build that piece of shit that those guys built, I'll make $3 million. I'm gonna make like $4 million on this build. Because I'm gonna make them slightly bigger, slightly nicer, do them just a little tiny bit different, and I'll make like $4 million. The whole build start from time I purchase, time I close, 14 months, $4 million net out on a 30-unit in downtown Phoenix. Easy lending, local lending, Northwestern Community Bank right there in Phoenix is lending us the money. All I had to do is buy the property, no additional money out of pocket, no investors, no nothing. But I had a proven concept. That 12 unit, does that make sense? The only reason I bought this is I had a proven concept. I used that build, that comp. I knew that if I built close to that, I had a proof of concept right there. I used their numbers. All my numbers go with that. Because that was a full cycle deal. And it's literally, here's my property, there's a piece of shit ugly house in between us, and then there's that 12. Does that make sense? Proof of concept.
So whatever does that in an area, that's what you should do.
Yeah, but be careful, because you got to make sure there's a profit in that business model. So first, I do a business model first. I underwrite it first. Then I go in and find an area that supports my business model. Same thing as our 5-day land challenge. I always tell people, don't go look for land and then don't go look for land and build what's there. Go know this business model and then go find an area that supports this business model. Does that make sense? You don't go look for land and then build what fits that business model. That business model might not work. This business model works. Does that make sense? Because even if you build an $850,000 house and you pay $200,000 for your land, you're still going to make $200,000 on your bill. You still make $200,000. So use our business model. Take this business model, find an area that supports that. That's why I asked what area. Does that make sense? Support that. Because I knew which business model I was going to talk about. So I'm telling you guys where to go. So you find the business model first, then you go and find the area that supports your business model. Does that make sense? Because in every demographics, you have poverty, you got demographics where there's rewards for infill and rebuilding, and then you got areas that support the middle class, upper middle class, and the wealthy in every demographics, no matter where you go. That makes sense? Because we usually go to Pennsylvania, is there poverty on the streets in downtown Pennsylvania? But then right down the street in Pennsylvania, they're multi-million-dollar homes. You see what I'm saying? Right here, I just drove in from the airport, there's homeless people in freaking tents all over freaking MLK and all over the place, right? There's poverty on your streets, but yet right down the road, there's multi-million-dollar homes. Make sense? And everything right in between, BK is one of the most expensive areas. So there's everything in between. So don't settle for what you find. Have a business model. Know your business model and be stubborn. I use religion as an example. People will otherwise compromise their business model because they go and find land just anywhere. Don't do that. You have to be so adamant about your business model. You advocate for it like you do religion. If you're Jewish and I come to you and say, hey, I'm Catholic, Judaism, and I tell you you're Catholic, I say, no, the way is Judaism. Screw Catholic. Judaism the only way. You're gonna sit back and go, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna become Jewish. Right? No, you just go, oh man, I was born like I'm Catholic, but I'm doing it the opposite. But you see what I'm saying? You have to advocate for your business model. Make sense?
How do you feel about bringing in the homeowner, landowner into the deal? So like if he wants 250.
Yeah.
I said, I'll do 250 for the lot and come in and solidifying. Give you 3 years.
Yeah.
Because he obviously pays.
Yeah. So you just do it.
More.
Yeah. Pay a lower interest.
I don't want
Yeah, so if you pay, or pay no interest. Right. Yeah, or give him his money, or a very low interest, or like what I negotiated, I'll pay you your interest on back end. Where it's occurring, I get 6% on it, and I'll pay you myself. I myself, and I'll be like 2 years, nowhere to get. Doing building business lines of credit. That's when you get business lines of credit. You can use the business line of credit. This instead of that, you will have finance. How much that take back? So it's a special warranty that has a take back clause in it. And the take back clause is a default on the loan. So the only problem is that the deed still shows their name. But legally, you have legal ownership of the lot based on the take back, especially finance. So when you go in, you get permits, you're gonna say, well, the right to loan is signed, say, I have the right to loan, you just have to take those and on your deed. And then some municipalities, so they have an affidavit, right to ownership signature. So if they have that in your purchase agreement, I always put a clause in there that says that the owner agrees to comply and assist with all documents, including but not limited to all municipal, local, state, and governing laws that would otherwise allow you to business. Okay, so I'll put a clause like that in there, and then I'll make them sign on it. So you have legal recourse, they have to sign on it. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's all that stuff is normal. They're normal clauses. Most of them have to do it. I always put it in there in an addendum, just in case. What sport did you play? What sport did you play? My son is quarterback last year. He's receiving this. They're going to second
That's what
No, I know. I was thinking, there's this guy Bala in our Build community. He's a doctor and he's a physician. So he's always in his son up and he always has a mask on, But I don't bother because he's always there, man. You know, like I see patients, literally see patients. I just go, so computer set up on his back. And you know, all you want when you sit there and you see patients. And I always see father walking around with patients. You know, so I know a lot of you guys are too. Throw your camera and take it. I see you guys. I know. I see so many black people. You guys see that? We'll have other people. It's like 20 cameras off. When I see you guys, I see you guys like.
Well, so we're actually.
You guys are all together. All you guys are all together. Roberts and Bill Roberts.